Now that you have experienced what the first half of a D group meeting is like, let's look at the second half, which will focus on the two remaining weekly disciplines, accountability and prayer. After you've had fellowship, reviewed HEAR journals, and shared your memory verse, your group will then focus on the third weekly discipline, accountability. Your group will spend about 10 to 15 minutes on this discipline each week. As we discussed in week 1, holding each other accountable isn't about trying to catch other group members doing something wrong. Instead, it's more about helping group members see what they're capable of doing. We should be people that ask others to hold us accountable because we're capable of so much when we're walking with God, and we should be willing to do the same for others as well. Every week, your group will discuss 2 to 3 accountability questions. These questions will help you focus on what you're capable of doing with Christ in your life. It is a time where iron will sharpen iron so you can be transformed by the Holy Spirit through your time together so you can be more like Christ in all that you do. You will be regularly asked questions like, have you honored God and your spouse with your thoughts, words, and actions this week? How have you intentionally invested in an important relationship in your life, whether it be with family, friends, neighbors, coworkers? Have you given in to any addictive behavior this past week, like alcohol, tobacco, porn, video games, work, TV? Have you told any lies or half-truths this week? Have you damaged another person by your words, either behind his or her back or face to face? How are you making a kingdom impact? Who is your one, and how have you been praying for and investing in your one this week? We're going to talk about this last question more in a little while. Another area of accountability in our D groups is challenging each other to be missional. This is an easily overlooked part of our lives sometimes, and we want to bring greater focus to it. Just as being accountable is a trait of being a disciple, so is being missional. We want to hold each other accountable to be missional, so when God presents the opportunity for us to share our faith, we're ready for it. There are 2 ways you will challenge each other to be more missional in your D groups. The first way that you can hold each other accountable to be missional is by regularly sharing your story. Each of you shared your testimony in week 2, but your testimony is something that you need to routinely practice so you can live out 1 Peter 3:15, which says that we should always be prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you. We should always be ready to share why we follow Christ. Once a month, your leader will ask at least 2 of you to share your story during your accountability time. Another way we can hold each other accountable to be missional is to know how to share the gospel. Before you leave today, your group leader will give each of you 2 different resources from the North American Mission Board on how to share your faith. The first one is the 3 circles method. This method is great because there is a 3 circles app that you can use when sharing with others. Even if you can't remember how to share your faith, you can use the app to walk someone through hearing the gospel. The second method is using the best news method. It is a shorter way of sharing your faith compared to 3 circles, but still effective. If you're not used to sharing your faith, these are a couple easy ways to start doing so. We have even provided extra resources on our website, like how to download the 3 Circles app, as well as videos of each method being used by someone. Groups should make time at least once every 3 months for group members to practice sharing their faith one of these ways with the group. So as far as accountability goes, you can see it isn't about finding out what each person is doing wrong, but challenging and pushing each person to do what they are capable of doing through Christ. When discussing accountability questions, there may be weeks that you only get to discuss one question because a group member needs to talk through some things. And that's okay. Be sensitive to the Holy Spirit's leading when discussing these questions every week because they may lead you into the 4th weekly discipline, prayer. Every week, you will spend about 10 minutes focused on prayer in your group. Your goal is to encourage each other to spend time in personal prayer every day, as well as praying together as a group with each other and for each other. One of the biggest themes in D groups is the importance of being intentional through discipleship. So we want to be intentional in everything that we do in D groups. When it comes to prayer, We want you to be intentional with how you pray and what you pray about when you pray. We want to see people move from praying general prayers to specific prayers. To see people move from praying generally for a good day to praying specifically for how God can use them that day. To see people move from praying generally about sharing their faith to praying specifically for a person by name that they can share their faith with. To see people move from just praying generally for their group members to praying for specific requests about their group members. Next, remember earlier when I said one of our accountability questions is who is your one? And how have you been praying for and investing in your one this week? Regularly asking who is your one is important because it connects accountability and prayer together. We want to see group members holding each other accountable to be praying for and investing in someone regularly with hopes of inviting them to church or possibly sharing their faith with them. We want to see a specific name attached to the question of who is your one. We also want to see people praying regularly for their one and that God will give them an opportunity to invest in them. We also want to see group members asking each other, who is your one? So they can pray specifically for each other and so they can pray for the name of the person that needs Christ. Another aspect of prayer that we want to challenge our D groups to implement is fasting. Fasting is a voluntary abstaining from food for a limited time for a Christ-centered purpose. This is likely not a regular part of the lives of many believers, so we wanted to introduce you to the practice of fasting. This is not something that is required of D groups, but fasting together as a group is a great way to implement this practice into your life and an excellent way to focus on prayer. Your group leader will talk to you about this at a later time in the life of your group, specifically when it comes to praying about who you will invite to be part of the D group that you will launch when this group concludes. In just a minute, your group will have the opportunity to discuss a couple questions and pray before dismissing from your meeting. My hope is that these 4 weeks have been beneficial to you and your group as you start your journey together, and that each of you have a better understanding of D groups and its purposes. My prayer is that being in a group will challenge you daily to intentionally grow in your relationship with Christ, so you can help others follow Jesus, be changed by Jesus, and join the mission of Jesus. Thank you again for your willingness to be a disciple who makes disciples. If you have any questions or need any help with your group, please feel free to contact me directly or visit our D Group resource page on our website.